Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and my guest today is a young man named Andy Johnson. Thank you for coming on today, Andy.
Thanks for having me, Gail.
Oh, you're
Glad
welcome.
to be here.
You're welcome. We have a few things to talk about here. I've been making up questions for you. Now, I want to mention that how my husband and I met Andy and his family was at a wedding back in September. We were assigned to sit at the same table, and your wife's brother and his girlfriend were there too.
Yep.
And Andy's children were the flower girl and the ring bearer.
That's right.
They looked really cute. They did a really good job, too.
Thank you.
Remember I was supposed to be a flower girl for my mother's youngest sister when I was something like 3 or 4 years old. Never been to a wedding before. And I remember when it was time for me to go down the aisle, I'm starting to go down the aisle, and I noticed that everybody in the church turned around and looked at me. So I thought they were waiting to grab me. So I turned around and ran screaming the opposite direction. I had no idea that they were just wanting to look. So it was, to me, it was a really scary.
Yeah.
So that's why I can say that your kids did a really good job, because I know how I messed up.
Well, thank you.
But anyways, apparently it turns out that your wife and her brother are somehow related to the bride's mother on
That's correct.
one side of her family, and my husband Carl and I are on the bride's mother's father's side of the family.
That's right.
So it was like a fairy tale wedding ceremony, wasn't it? Out in out in that field.
It's a beautiful setting.
Yeah, it really was.
It was awesome.
It really was. I didn't know until I got home that night how messed up my hair got, because
all the dancing.
There was a breeze blowing.
In the breeze.
The breeze was blowing. Yeah. So anyway, that was a lot of fun, and anyway, that's how I met Andy. So anyways, now I'm going to have you tell the viewing audience. I'm going to start out by just having them get to know you a little bit here. And okay, so what kind of an education do you have?
Well, I grew up here in Chautauqua County. I went to Southwestern High School and graduated in 1999. And then I went to SUNY ESF and Syracuse University for my undergrad work, which was in civil engineering with a concentration on environmental and water resources. And then I ended up staying there 2 more years for my master's degree in engineering with, again, more focus on the water and environmental type of field. And then I graduated there in 2005. And then I moved after that to California and worked for a big company for a number of years, and was a project engineer and took my exams and became a licensed civil engineer, and then moved back to Chautauqua County back in 2012, about 9 years ago. So kind of a snapshot of my education background.
Yeah, didn't you say that your wife was originally from around here too, but you met her somewhere else?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we speaking of weddings, we actually met at a wedding, my cousin's wedding, who's one of our partners actually with the campground here.
Oh.
We met at his wedding, Brock Wadsworth, my cousin, who's one of the partners on the campground here. And yep, we met in July of 2012, and it was a magical day, and we never knew each other before then, even though we were from Lakewood and went to Southwestern. She was a few years older than me. But, But yep, we met and hit it off, and now we're living in Westfield with 2 kids and and starting a campground.
And you're very happy, I have the funny feeling.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. Now tell the viewing audience something about you work for Forecon?
Yeah, I have a small ownership share in Forecon, and I work with them. I started a sister company that we call Eco Strategies Engineering and Surveying, and this is our 10th year in business, and we collaborate with Forecon and share clients and and so forth. And Forecon is a forestry consulting company. And Eco Strategies does more of the environmental engineering and water resource engineering, but we all work together.
Oh, that's good. Would you say a little something about the history of Forecon and who started it?
Yeah, Kurt Bauer started it in 1954.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, yes. And and he started it by himself, and he grew the company. And my dad, Ron Johnson, who is the other owner of the campground here, he's been with Forecon for over 40 years, and he just turned 70, and he's actually just retiring this year. So this campground's going to kind of become his retirement. His retirement job.
Isn't it funny how we all get retirement jobs after we retire? Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now, is there anything else you want to say about your education in particular?
I guess just that. It helped me plan design, and permit the campground, that we're trying to make it a model example for Chautauqua County of kind of the right way, or some of the smart ways to design a campground. I've done several of them with other customers throughout the county and over the years, and my passion for water and the environment, affected the design. So my education did come into play, and you'll see if anybody comes to visit the campground that it's very eco-friendly, it's very low impact, you'll be surrounded by trees and water and all that good stuff.
And it's not far from where we live.
Not at all. It's we're in Mayville now, and it's right down the road.
It's right over, we're on the next road over from where your camp is. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, now why did you pick the kind of work that you do?
Well, originally as a kid, I grew up loving to play in the woods. I was in the creeks all day and in the woods, just playing around, making forts and turning over rocks and catching things, and my dad was a big hunter, and being in forestry, he always had me out in the woods and hunting and fishing and all that, and so I knew I wanted to do something that involved the environment, and I was good in math and science kind of naturally, and so I needed to pick a major, and so I picked engineering, and the rest was history, really.
Good.
But it was that upbringing and the love for being outside, and that kind of drove me in that direction.
Okay, what caused you and your dad to decide to build a camp?
That's a good question. Well, my parents bought the property at the end of Hannum Road, which is 45 acres. They bought it back in 2004, so it's been about 17 years since they've owned it. And my mom and dad always knew it was a special property because of the location. It's the very last private property before the state land starts and Westfield watershed, and it's also connected with a lot of the trails. And so we always knew the property had potential, to become something someday. And then between my background and my dad nearing his retirement and my cousin's involvement as a camper, we decided, you know, we'd like to share it with other people and not just ourselves.
So how did you go about finding it was available to be purchased and so forth?
Yeah, well, my dad, being in the forestry business, was aware of the property being for sale because it was a timber company that owned it before us.
Oh, okay.
So it was historically used for logging and timber harvesting.
Oh, I see.
And there was some old agriculture, even if you go back in time before that. There's some interesting history in the neighborhood there, but my dad basically knew that it was up for sale, and he knew the potential that was there, and they bought it, you know, for those reasons, mainly just for a recreational property, and someday the crazy dream of maybe starting a campground or doing something like that, the way it ties into all the greenway properties throughout the county.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big plus.
Well, it certainly is beautiful out in that neighborhood, because I consider where we are that neighborhood too, and I know it's really beautiful where we live.
It is a gem.
So, let's see. Now, I think you told me before that you have 2 cabins at the camp?
Yeah, we actually have 3 cabins since
3
I talked to
cabins.
you.
Oh, really?
We have our one, what we call our luxury cabin that has all the amenities: shower, kitchen, bathroom, bedrooms. It'll sleep 4 people. It's kind of like a mini house. And so that's our main kind of luxury cabin. And then we have 2 other off-grid cabins, which actually have electric, but they don't have the shower and the kitchen and all that. But we have some photos too on our website if people want to look at them, and maybe I could tell you about all the sites about beyond just the cabin.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about those. Now, how many other sites do you have a certain amount of sites for people who want to camp out in a tent? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. We have a total of 22 campsites total. So there's our one luxury cabin, and then there's 2 off-grid cabins, and then there's actually 13 RV sites, and then there's 6 tent camping sites.
Oh,
so there's 22 sites total, and we did that because we want to cater to all types of campers. We don't want to just cater to one type. We wanted to have a little variety for everybody, and we had the land and the space to work with, so we have large buffers, you know, between all the sites, which is a big plus. You're not right on top of other campers. Everybody has their own private views of the woods and the creeks, and it's really peaceful. And but yeah, that's that's the variety and types of sites we have, is those 22 sites, 6 of which are tent camping.
Now, as far as the cabins are concerned, did you guys do all the work yourself, or did you hire some help?
We actually did all the work ourselves.
Wow.
We hired some help. We did 2 our 2 off-grid cabins were prefabbed and brought in.
They?
But we built the first one ourselves with the help of family and a couple friends, and also all the infrastructure. We extended the electrical grid down the road, and we did about almost a quarter mile worth of water and electrical infrastructure, and improving our driveways and stabilizing some of the RV pads and so forth. But yeah, we had the help of a couple local contractors for some of the sewer work and the electrical work. But I'd say about 70–80% of the work we did all by ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, so the other 2 cabins that you refer to as off-grid, they do not have any running water or electricity or anything.
Nope.
So you're still kind of roughing it.
You're still kind of roughing it.
But
and-
with a building to sleep
Yeah.
inside of.
And we put them by the tent camping sites. So, you know, it's all relative. You know, some people want the tent camping and they want to rough it a little bit more. Some want the middle of the road. They want a little structure, but we have a solar panel on the one. You can charge your phone if you want to go green and be off the grid. And, and then, you know, you move further up and there's the RV areas, and then, you know, the cabin too. So we, again, tried to play off, you know, all the different types of campers, so there's something for everybody.
Now, about the spots for people to bring people bring their own RVs, is that right? Yeah.
That's right.
And, okay, so do you have any way for them to be connected to a water supply or electricity? Because I know they have a lot of that in the RVs.
Yes, that's a good question. As I said earlier, there's 13 RV sites that are available, 8 of which have water, sewer, and electric.
Oh, okay.
And they're all ready to plug in. We even have up to 50 amp, 30 amp, 50 amp. You can pick whatever one you want on the electrical box. And so sewer and water are all ready to go at those 8. 2 of the other RV sites just have water and electric, no sewer. And then 3 of the RV sites are completely self-contained, but they're in a little cluster with each other. And then we have a water fill-up station and a dump station. So even though you're self-contained in those few spots, you can still fill up anytime and you can dump into the dump station if you need to.
Oh, okay. Okay, boy, you really put a lot of thought into this and a lot of work, I can see.
We did. It took us 2 years to plan it, design it, and build it.
I'm surprised you could get all that done in 2 years.
It was a lot of work.
Okay, let's see. Now, I guess you're probably planning on starting to have campers come this spring, is it?
Yep.
For the first time?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. We just, we officially got permitted with the county in October of 2021, and we decided not to open it up this winter, just this winter. But starting in May, and from May on, we'll be open all year, even in the winter. So if you're a snowmobiler or a fish, want to fish the creek, you can even camp in the winter. So we'll be open all year round. And
okay, wow. Tent camping in the winter.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty tough to do that.
Yeah. Now, tell the viewing audience what your website is.
Yeah, it's Chautauqua Gorge Campground.com. Pretty easy to remember, or you could just Google it, but Chautauqua Gorge Campground.com. And if you just go to the website, it'll tell you about the location and the things to do, and we've got pictures, and we've got an interactive map, so it's kind of a 21st century experience as far as websites go. You can click on the sites you want and be by your friends if you want to plan a group to go, and you can click on all the sites and see pictures and if they have hookups or no hookups, and so it's a nice website experience.
Okay, you have another website. This must have something to do with your job. Would you like to tell them what that is?
Yeah, well, I do have, for my main business, which is Eco Strategies, Engineering and Surveying, it's ecostrategiespllc.com.
Okay.
And that's for any kind of, if you ever need any civil engineering or surveying services, you could visit that website or give us a call at the number on that website.
Okay. Shall we move along to the pictures now that
Sure.
Chris was going to get ready for? Oh, wow. That's a sunset,
Yeah,
right?
that's at our scenic overlook, right in our common area. That's the gorge down below, and the sun setting in the west there. It's surrounded by hemlock forest, and it's a rare plant and animal zone. All kinds of neat.
Oh, there's rare plants there? And
It's all along the gorge is rare plants and animals, according to the DEC.
well, you know, I'm going to ask you a question, because one time when we were hiking in the gorge, from the end of Hannum Road to the end of Bloomer Road, we saw these berry bushes up on a bank, and the berries on them looked like really large raspberries, maybe, but the plants that they were on looked different from raspberry plants. So of course we didn't eat any because
Yeah.
we didn't know. I was kind of wondering if you knew what they might be.
I don't know, and I'm not a plant expert.
And
I
then
know a little.
And then it was only in that one area, one small area
Yeah.
in the gorge. Nobody that we've asked about it seems to know what we're talking about. So.
Well, nowadays there's the apps too on the phone that'll tell you a lot. One of the little kids showed me, for example, an app that you can take a picture of mushrooms, and it'll tell you about the name of the mushroom and all that. And that
tell
was,
you whether it's poisonous or
yeah,
not.
and we don't want to eat anything.
Well, that's why we didn't eat any of those berries, you know, and it was like, I think it was like late September, and you know, the raspberries that we would normally eat that grow wild
Wouldn't have been growing then.
Yeah, usually they're ready to eat in like the middle of July or something like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about that area is the variety of plants, animals, and fungus that grows all in that area. Really interesting.
Yeah, we had never seen berry bushes that looked like that anywhere else, you know. And we were wondering about it, but we figured we better not eat it.
That's a smart move.
So, well, I guess we can move along. Oh, sure. There's a fence.
Yes, that's again that scenic overlook there, and we put up a safety fence there.
So people don't go over the edge.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful spot to gather, and the way the sun shines through is really neat in the hemlock forest.
Yeah, that is really a beautiful scene.
And there's another nice picture. It's just awesome to walk around with yourself even, or especially with kids or family and friends. There's just endless views and beauty there.
There's no brush growing up between the trees there, I noticed. Was that so it would be cleared for camping?
That's just natural.
It was that way?
Excuse me. Yeah, the hemlock forest, which dominates the sort of the edge of the gorge there, shades out any other smaller shrubs or plants that could otherwise grow. So there's a lot of fungus you can find there, mushrooms and other things. But yeah, you can see it's almost like a carpet.
Yeah.
And it's really neat.
Is that you and some other guys there in
Yeah.
the picture?
Yep, that was my cousin and our kids going for a morning walk there.
Oh, I see.
That's one of the RV hookup sites there, and you can't quite see the creek, but when you're parked in that spot, you're overlooking a creek and forest, and each spot has its own private view, unobstructed, of the forest, which is one of our key themes for the campground, is to kind of get back to nature and immerse yourself in the woods.
So, is this another one of the RV sites?
Yep, that's another RV site. That you'd back into that, and then you'd hook up, and you can see some chairs, and each site has a little fire ring, so you can have a fire. And we're also going to be offering some free firewood too, for the first year at least, to people that want to come and stay. So we have a bunch of firewood, and yep, there's another site. You can see they're all nestled in and surrounded by woods. There's some firewood in another spot.
And that's one of the cabins?
Yeah, that's the check-in cabin,
The
right when you
check-in
first pull
cabin.
in. Yep.
Oh, okay. That isn't one of the cabins that people stay in then.
No, there's an RV site next to it, but that's our little office administration
Oh,
building.
okay.
For now, anyway.
Okay.
And that's our outhouse.
Oh, I thought that's
So,
what it looked like.
It's sewered. It's got, toilet and sink, and we also have a dishwashing sink too on the back side. You can't see it, but that's for our tent campers if you need to wash your dishes. And that's the inside of one of the off-grid cabins. So,
Oh, okay.
just a basic table,
Yeah, there's
couch,
not.
and bed. It's small and cozy, and there's a little loft over the porch for the
Yeah.
kids to sleep in if you got kids.
Yeah.
And
I'm seeing a bed that doesn't have a mattress.
yeah, it does have a mattress now, so you'll get a mattress if you choose to rent it. There's a view of the loft and a little ladder up top. The kids like playing around up there, and some little counter space to put your food and whatnot. And that's the fully functional cabin with all the amenities. That's the kitchen there, and there's a full bathroom and shower and
Wow.
all that good stuff.
Somebody might want to actually rent that from you year-round to live in.
Yeah, and there's a picture too of the off-grid cabins. The two off-grid cabins look just like that.
They're
they have
pretty much identical.
pretty much identical. Yep. They have a little porch area and then living quarters, and that's the other one there. Yep.
And a porch, yeah. Porches are always nice.
It's always nice if it's raining or you just want to sit out and have a cup of coffee
Yeah.
and read a book. That's a view of the main cabin
Okay.
with all the amenities.
Okay.
So, kind of like a mini home. And there's one of our creeks. That's my two little kids exploring one of the waterfalls on site. And
It's beautiful, yeah.
there's just endless things to do in nature. There's some of our other friends' kids. That's down in the main gorge itself. We were playing around and catching crabs and skipping rocks. And
Well, I think your kids are in that picture too, aren't
Yep.
they? Yeah.
Yep, they're in there too. And that
Wow.
was all our picnic tables. Those are all at each campsite now.
Okay.
That was when we were first staining them and building them.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you made the picnic tables.
We did. We bought the metal from a local supplier in Jamestown, and then we got the boards and assembled them ourselves.
Yeah, they look very nice.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's the interactive map of all the sites. You can see we've only actually used the western half of the property. So there's plenty of trails you can hike around on that are all on our private property. And there's 3 creeks on the property that are safe and right nearby for kids to enjoy. And then the gorge is at the top of the page there. There's waterfalls and just a lot of fun things to do, but it's definitely the woodsy experience. I should tell people that we don't have an arcade or a swimming pool or a general store even yet. We like all those things, but it's just not our theme. At this particular spot, we like the natural beauty of everything that the gorge has to offer and all the trails and things to do around it, that we're going for a different theme of just getting into the woods and exploring the creeks and so forth.
Well, you can tell by the different shapes on the map where the RVs are going to be and where the tents are going to
Yep.
be.
That's right.
Yeah, so, yeah,
But-
that's pretty interesting. Those were all of the pictures, were they? Oh, okay. So, you've always enjoyed camping then, and your kids like it too?
They do, yes. And we especially like it up there, again, mainly for the outdoor discovery part of it. And our other partner, who's not here, but his name's Brock Wadsworth, he's a firefighter for the city of Jamestown.
Oh.
And he's a very avid camper too, and his daughter is my wife and I's goddaughter.
Oh.
And so Brock's a very avid camper, and he goes every weekend pretty much over the summer, spring, summer, and fall. So he's got a lot of knowledge of campgrounds and what works and doesn't work. And so I go with him a lot, and my wife and I and our kids, we camp a lot ourselves too. So it was always something we kind of talked about doing someday. And a couple years ago, we finally took the plunge and started this campground here. But yeah, we have a great time up there, just sitting around the campfire and hiking, and it's nice to get away from technology too, you know.
It is.
As much as I love it and use it all the time, it's nice to have those little breaks where the kids go and you build a fort, or you walk on a log, or you swing from a vine, or you play in a creek for hours and catch things, and it's good for the body and mind.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can remember playing in a creek when I was a little girl. We'd go out and play in a creek, and we'd catch. Well, we didn't actually keep them. We would find like little crabs and things, and salamanders, and
it's the joy of discovery.
All kinds of things. Yeah, you get to where you kind of really enjoy the company of wild animals, like those that you find in the creek. I can remember, to this very day, I love all of those frogs and toads and salamanders.
Sure.
And
the geology there too is very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We go on fossil hunts, and the fossils, my cousin's a geologist, and he told me the fossils there are some 370 million years old.
Are they?
Even much older than the dinosaurs.
How do they figure out how old everything is like that? I can never understand.
I think it's radiocarbon dating.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? It just mesmerizes me that that people can figure out how all these millions of years and everything.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, there's this Greystone Nature Preserve. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
It's on Bear Lake Road outside of Fredonia.
Yep.
And
I've been there actually for a bat. Merlin Tuttle, he's a bat guy.
Oh, was that
bat scientist?
Was that the one where they had kind of like a festival, or was it another time? Was it another time? Because I remember being there when Merlin Tuttle was.
That was when I went to it too.
Because they had all these different people, you know, the new things. One guy was an expert on butterflies.
Yes.
And another one on bats, and somebody else with honeybees.
Yep.
And birds.
Yep.
You know.
I've heard that's a nice facility. I was there the one time, but I really enjoyed it. Merlin Tuttle signed the book for my kids, and he really changed my whole perspective on bats in general.
Oh yeah, and then there was a woman that did a talk on bats too. And honestly, I ran into her at the Chautauqua Institution this summer, and I kind of asked her to be on Fresh Perspectives, but she didn't seem too very interested. But she did a really nice talk. She demonstrated how to capture a bat if it gets in your house and put it back outside, and things like that. Yeah,
they play a vital role in our whole ecosystem in more ways than we can even imagine, and they're actually very beneficial, and it's it's funny you bring that up because that's one of the things we're trying to do at our campground is to do educational outreach and make learning fun, and thinking of it as kind of an outdoor laboratory where we can do geology walks. We want to partner too with other environmental groups, or Roger Torrey Peterson or Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy.
You could get people that are experts on edible wild plants to take people on walks.
They'd figure out your berries.
They would probably know what they are. Yeah, they probably do.
But naturalist type of walks, and I think people really enjoy that. I know I do, and I visited a lot of our national parks over the years in my travels, and I was always fascinated to take a walk with somebody that just knew a lot about the environment that we were in. Just even knowing that the tree species, for example, at our campground, with my dad being a forester, he's been doing timber stand improvement on the property. So thinning out certain trees, letting other trees like the red oaks take back off. So when you go camping there too, you'll get to see forest management in action, and how it just looks awesome over time when you do some of these strategic thinnings and cuttings and creating the variety of trees and things. So my point was that those are the kind of fun things that we want to offer, besides just a regular arcade or a putt-putt, which is, again, great too, but in this particular location...
Not out by the edge of the gorge.
By the edge of the gorge.
You don't want an amusement park out by the edge of the gorge.
It's a special spot just to enjoy nature and learn more about it and have fun doing it.
Yeah, the reason that I brought up the subject of, we're mentioning fossils, and the reason I brought up the subject of the Greystone Nature Preserve is they have a rock there that has a footprint of a dinosaur in it.
Interesting.
Nobody brought that to your attention while you were there then?
No, I haven't seen one of those around here. Out west I have, but...
Well, the rock isn't from around here. It was, somebody got it for them somewhere else in another state or something. So,
yeah, probably out west.
Yeah, so...
Like I said, a lot of our stuff here is 100 million years before the dinosaurs.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a lot of seashells and things that you would see if you were kind of combing the beach somewhere. You'll find the nautilus shells, and they look like regular shells. Is a lot
of shells, and so fossils of a lot of shells. Yeah.
So you won't see as many dinosaur-related stuff because that was later in time. Kind of interesting.
What is that really hard, rocky stuff that's so slippery to walk on?
Shale.
Shale?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was shale or slate or what, so I thought I'd ask you,
Well, I think they might be synonymous.
They're similar.
Similar, yeah. But yeah, the shale does get slick, and it's slippery, but at the same time, it's what makes the creeks so beautiful there, because they're crystal clear usually. And you can see in them better, and that's what creates all the little waterfalls too that we see, is the shale breaking off. And so they're really fun to play in. Just got to be careful not to slip.
Oh, I know it. I remember, I remember being on this hike down there. We thought we were going to be in the gorge for only 3 hours. That's what my husband told me. A cousin, on this certain particular day, it was late September, and one of his cousins had called up the night before and said that him and his wife were going to go for a hike in the gorge and wanted to invite us to go with them. So there we are, and I mean, honestly, it was like glare ice. It had been a really wet, rainy summer, and it was like glare. It was like glare ice, and so what we thought was going to be a 3-hour hike turned into a 6-hour one.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Well, and the
So-
nice thing on our property, we have 3 creeks, and they're all smaller creeks. There's no 50, 100-foot cliff you're going to fall off of. These are very gentle. They're tributaries that feed into the main creek. So it's really nice. The parents can even, in some of the spots, we're overlooking the creek, so the parents can be sitting at the campfire, and the kids can be right down below playing in the creek, and you can still keep an eye on them.
Keep an eye on them and
and you
make sure. Don't go over to that spot because
Yeah.
it looks like one of those slippery spots.
And these are all safe. Once you get down into the main gorge, it becomes a little more. You got to be a little more careful.
Oh yeah, I can see where somebody could
Sure.
get hurt down there.
That's right.
So,
Yep. Yep. But yeah, there's lots to explore. You could walk around for days. You could even get dropped off in Panama on the West Side Overland Trail, and you could hike or bike 24 miles, a marathon pretty much, and end right at our property. And then
yeah.
the snow,
Okay, so
the rails to trails is there too.
Yeah, so the
Snowmobile.
Overland Pass Trail runs right by your property?
Yep, the Overland Trail terminates at the state land, which abuts up to our property. So it's nice for easy access to that.
I haven't hiked the entire Overland Pass Trail, but I've hiked the 10-mile section over by the Panama area.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and there's rails to trails that you can tie into. And on our website, we have maps. So we've got maps of all the trail networks and the surrounding state land properties that you can explore. So like I say, you can hike around. You can fish down in the gorge too. There's nice, good fishing down there. Ever since they removed the dam, the fish now can go all the way up the steelhead. And there's always been little brook trout and rainbow trout that have lived up there just as natives, I came to learn. But with the dam being open, there's even more fishing now up top.
Okay.
So.
Well, I have heard that there used to be, all of the roads that come to a dead end on top of the gorge now used to have bridges where people could drive across, but
Yeah.
for some reason they all got taken out, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the reason is for that.
I'm not sure. I suspect that there wasn't enough use in volume to make it worthwhile to keep them. So it is a dead-end road at the end of Hannum Road, which is where our property is. So it doesn't have the bridge at the end. But I see that actually as a good thing because it's much quieter. You don't get a lot of pass-through traffic. And so
Yeah, it probably,
it's nice in that regard.
there probably would be a lot more traffic if the
If you could
bridges
go all the way
were
through.
there.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because
There's
people,
pros and cons.
because I've always thought, if the bridges, if there were bridges there, it would be nice. You could take shortcuts from
Yes.
certain places
Yeah.
on the other side of the gorge
Yeah.
to get to Mayville.
Especially
and
Lyons
everything.
Road would be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great one too, because that's a
Yeah.
fully developed road all the way to the bridge.
Yeah.
But it might come back someday.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
with the funding and
it
other
would
factors.
sort of, in a way, be nice if the bridges were there. I've even heard that people used to live right down in the gorge.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Most early settlements were all along the waterways, so it makes sense that that they would set up there. And then over the years, they may have gotten the floodplains or too close and got washed out. But
Yeah, when you get out in the woods, you'll run across old foundations
Yeah.
of houses where
Yeah.
people had lived years ago and so forth.
yeah, and old farmlands and stuff too.
Yeah,
And you'll even find in woods old evidence of farm equipment and old fence lines. And
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
it's
Yeah, you
interesting
do,
to peel back the layers of time.
Oh yeah, yeah. And think about how things used to be
Yeah.
once upon a time.
Yep, a lot of history around here. So.
I brought this. My husband picked this up for Andy. He wanted him to have a copy of it.
Appreciate it.
It's a book called Chautauqua Gorge: History, Legends, and People by Devin A. Taylor. And anybody who's interested in getting one, I believe that they have them at the library in Mayville, the village library. So it's, and it has all kinds of nice pictures now. Chautauqua Traction Company Bridge. There's a bridge right there, in that picture right there, going across the gorge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a map in here where my husband marked where the Hannum Road is. It's right there, and approximately right in there is the camp that belongs to Andy and his family. So, so it's a really nice book. Carl and Devin used to go once a month or so on hikes along the gorge and so forth. And what?
Hold the book up one more time.
Yeah, for those of you who maybe don't know, Devin Taylor is he is the historian for the village of Mayville in the township of Chautauqua. So so anyway, that'll be fun for.
We'll make that a part of our information packet too when people come to visit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you again for that.
Oh, sure. They can look at that and so forth.
Yeah.
So now you said that you're not very you don't know too much about the wild plants and things. Maybe the trees.
I know a lot about the basic trees and plants, but I'm not an expert on some of the shrubs and you know other things. I mainly know the hardwood trees, the hemlocks, the red oak, and the beech, and the maples, and so forth. I'm still learning myself and learning from friends, and the phone apps too are kind of helpful now and fun to discover things that way. But we want to involve other people too that might want to give a tour. You know, if they're an expert in the field, then we'll have you come stay and you know, set up a time to take any campers that want to learn more about it.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. With our vegetarian society, we haven't had very much luck having our monthly dinners lately because of the coronavirus, but basically we finally got back to it in July, and we did that up through November, and now we're back off of doing it again here with the way things have gotten more crazy again. But we usually would like to get an herbalist.
Yeah.
To go out in the woods or someplace with our group and show us, you know, the different kinds of herbs and things that can be used for medicinal purposes. And then there's plants that are just edible because
absolutely.
Because they're so good for you and everything. So
yeah, maybe you guys could set up a time sometime to come visit.
Oh yeah.
Bring the herbalist there and take a walk and let other people learn too.
Now there's a certain kind of plant. I guess real name for it is called ramps. But a lot of the people that live in this area call them leaks.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I love
Do you
leaks.
have any of those on your camping property?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I
I
know.
don't know as we do.
I know.
Kind of don't think we do.
I know
but
on our in the Bloomer Road neighborhood.
they're on the state land properties, though.
Yeah,
and,
there are leaks
Yep.
in places. Some places just have acres
Yeah.
of them, you
Yep.
know. And
Yep, that's a fun one
That is
to-
one of my favorite spring things
Yep,
to do,
me
is to
too.
go out and
'em
dig
raw.
up the ramps
Yep.
and bring them home. And a lot of people don't like the smell, but we do.
Yeah.
The way that they smell, it's like, this is what spring smells
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yep.
and you're always so happy that spring weather
Sure.
is finally.
And the leaks are first to come out usually,
one of the
too.
first things,
Yeah.
and it's just wonderful, just
It is.
absolutely wonderful. Did you know that, you know, if you go along your creeks, you might find something called watercress,
I've heard of that.
you know, growing near the creeks.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
if you don't know what it looks like, we'll have to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing I go out in the woods to get in the spring is is violets that are growing wild. Did you know that the violets that grow out in the woods are edible?
No, I didn't.
They are.
Interesting.
They're like a good source of vitamin C, and
Neat.
there's all these things that you can eat. And the thing
Exactly.
about the violets is they have a really nice flavor to them, but it's a very mild flavor.
Okay.
You know, any of the edible flowers, the flavor is much milder than a lot of foods.
Interesting.
The watercress is kind of bland tasting, but you know, it's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of a leafy green type of
Yeah.
deal. So
Well, that fits too with one of the things we're trying to have for this year is a teepee on site, and we're trying to
really?
teach people a little bit too about the Native American
Oh yeah,
history.
They have a teepee at the Greystone Nature
do they?
Preserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So that's on our agenda too, to get one of those up. And
Okay,
it
for
made
this
me
year.
think
For
of-
this year.
For this year.
For this year.
Yep. Yeah. And I wanted to mention too, for some of the people that might not be familiar with the location, that how close we are to Lake Erie and Chautauqua Lake, and all the nearby restaurants and shops, and the Chautauqua Institution. So our property is a good launching pad too for all the other fun stuff to do in the county, whether you want to go to Westfield Harbor, Barcelona Beach, or you go right here to Mayville, and you got the supermarket and the bars and restaurants and shops. So
Are you going to have brochures for the local businesses at the
Yeah.
office
Yep.
on the property?
yep, and we're promoting all the local businesses around, and because all of that's within 5 to 15 minutes of our campground. So even though we're kind of isolated in our own world there, within 5 to 15 minutes you can be to Lake Erie, Chautauqua Lake, grocery store, all those other things too. So we're really wanting to promote the tourism, the ecotourism, and the greenways, and just the outdoor lifestyle that makes Chautauqua County so great. Enjoy all our beautiful creeks and water bodies and forests. It's a gem around
Well,
here.
that's what I love about where we live is we are just where our house is. It's like has the look of being out in the middle of nowhere,
Yep.
and yet we're just 5
5
minutes
minutes
from
from-
uptown.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
Yep, and it's nice for a lot of local people in the county too that you don't have to travel, days or hours to get to this campsite. We're kind of centrally located in the county, so a lot of campers locally here, I think, will really enjoy the close proximity.
Oh yeah, where they don't have
where
to drive 100 miles
they're
away.
20 minutes from home or whatever it is, and
yeah, we've usually never go somewhere on a trip to go camping because we're surrounded by woods. Why would we go camping? It's more like I'll go to a yoga retreat or something instead. Just because we're out in the woods all the time. It's kind of like, we have our house with, the electricity and the running water and all that, but at the same time, it almost feels like being out in the woods camping because you're just out in the woods all the time. Yeah.
I think it's important, in this time in history too, to have these little retreat areas like these campgrounds and state parks and other things. I think as time goes on and we get more immersed in technology, which is a good thing still, but I think we need those breaks where we can get back out in the woods.
Carl and I have never gotten into all of the technology as heavily as most people.
Yeah.
I think maybe most people are into it too much, but anyway, we just haven't,
That's all right.
really gotten into it. So
that's just one of our themes is, take a little bit of time away from it all, and just, I think people will realize that they're more refreshed and feel good, and that whole joy of discovery thing of just walking around the woods and you see a deer or an owl or it's just interesting and it's good for you.
Okay, before we close the program, maybe you might want to recite your website again for the viewing audience.
Yep, it's Chautauqua Gorge Campground.com, and you just go on there. It'll tell you everything. And
okay, they cannot email you, I take it.
They can email us at Chautauqua Gorge Campground at gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
That's on our website, and we also have a phone number too that they can call.
And all of that is listed on your website, so when they go to it, they can get all the information they need that way then.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
We hope to see everybody in 2022.
Yeah, we're going to get over there one of these days. You should keep us informed about when you're going to be out there, because we'd want to come out when you're going to be. You and your family are there.
May 13th to the 15th, we're going to have a little open house. So if anybody wants to stop by then, if you can remember that
13th
date.
13th to the 15th. That's like through
It's a Friday through Sunday.
Yeah.
It's just the middle weekend in May, right after Mother's Day weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on Fresh Perspectives today.
Thanks for having me, Gail.
Oh, you're welcome. And
Pleasure.
I'll see the rest of you in the viewing audience on the next episode.
Thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome.